Bring it back.
So I'm here today with Brandon Alvarado, who I met on the Jenny McCarthy Show when he was interning there on SiriusXM Channel 109 last year. And he is now doing his own thing. He's starting his own podcast, and he has a new job after graduating from NYU, correct?
Well, I'm going to be graduating from NYU next year. So
Oh my gosh.
I'm very close. Next May, I'll be graduating, but I do have my own podcast. So that's correct.
Tell us about that, because you are dropping the first episode this Friday.
This Friday, I'm dropping the first episode. So my best friend and I have started this podcast called Domestic Partners. Her name is Tyler. And so every week we want to focus on pop culture, TV news, film news, whatever's going on in the news that we are interested in. We always say it's like what the gay men and straight girls are interested in talking about. But we also want to focus on the gay guy, straight girl friendships we see in the media, fictional and real life people, and see if we can relate to them, or if we can't. And we kind of want to hone in on different pairings every week as well, just to sort of ground it a little bit. And so it's not just news, but it's also something we can really kind of focus on and say, oh, like, can we relate to these people, or how have they influenced us as people, and maybe even influenced our friendship?
That's really cool. So there'll be a personal spin to it. You'll bring your own life into it.
Yeah, I think so. And it's going to focus a lot on our personal lives. We have a couple of fun surprises that we're going to explore in the first episode. We'll share with maybe some segments, but we definitely want to focus on our personal lives and see how our friendship has affected our personal lives, and how we sort of deal with career, school, dating, everything like that.
And you guys have been friends for a long time, right?
We've been friends since kindergarten. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Kindergarten.
Did you really?
I had a fake crush on her. A lot of guys had a crush on her when we were younger, and I was one of them who joined in and said oh, I have a crush on her too. That's just what's normal. I like her a lot, so I must have a crush on her.
That's right.
And she was one of the first friends I actually came out to when we were 13 years old. I think we were that young. Yeah.
That's amazing to have a lifetime friend like this, and then you get to do a podcast together. I mean, what could be better? So it's Domestic Partners, and it's going to be on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, everywhere Friday.
It's everywhere so far. iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcast, it should be there. Podbean as well. So you can subscribe now, actually, just because we have a preview episode up. But the first episode, as you said, is dropping on Friday, and then it'll be released. New episodes will be released every week.
Okay, as soon as we get off of this interview, I'm going to go subscribe, because I'm already subscribed in my mind, but I will actually do it. I can't wait for it. It's going to be so much fun.
Thank you.
Okay, so in addition to starting your own podcast, you have been on this podcast before. And of course, you've talked to Jenny many times about Housewives, Bravo in general, reality TV. So we're going to talk all Bravo today. We're going to do the Real Housewives. Exactly. I mean, I could just do this all day, right? I can't get enough. I mean, we have the OC trailer that we need to discuss. And we're going to move on from that and talk a little bit about Potomac, because we both watch that, and we both encourage other people to watch that. If they're not on board yet, they should get on board. This is season 3, and it's pretty good. And then we need to talk about Southern Charm, the episode this week, and also reunion teasers that we've heard about in the news, the Ashley Jacobs issue, the Fatal Attraction vibe we're getting. And then we're going to end with Real Housewives of New York, the franchise that will be the MVPs forever. Yeah.
Always be.
Always, always. Okay, so first of all, the OC trailer just dropped this past week, and we saw season 13 is going to be premiering on July 16th. We have 2 new housewives, Gina, who's a feisty mom from Long Island. She seems like she is maybe like a Kelly Dodd 2.0, except blonde, maybe. We have Emily, a lawyer from Ohio. She's like a rags to riches story. She seems in the previews very, very much concerned with people not thinking she is some kind of dummy or just a housewife.
Maybe Dubrow-ish.
Maybe
I don't
Heather
know.
Dubrow-ish with a law degree. Instead of married to a doctor, she actually has her own degree. Yeah.
Right. And I think that maybe I think the show maybe has been trying to find maybe a Heather Dubrow kind of replacement, just because I feel like they always thought Heather Dubrow brought a lot of class to the show. So this could be, Emily could be that girl. I know she had a prior relationship with Tamra. They keep teasing that they had a prior friendship and they had a falling out. So she's going to come on the show and try and make up with Tamra, apparently.
Okay, so you've heard she's going to try to make up with Tamra. I didn't know anything. I know that they teased this prior relationship with Tamra, but I was like, is she going to come on and they're just going to be like arch enemies from the get-go? Because we also have Tamra and Vicki teamed back up again, using their powers for evil, which I love. I'm all about that.
Yeah, I love that too. The show is always at its best when those two are friends. I always believe that.
I do too. And you had mentioned before, and I think this was so astute, that Vicki, for all of her history on the Housewives, this is her 13th season. She is the OG. She truly does not know how to get out of her own way. She tries to manipulate situations maybe, but she fails, or she just doesn't know how. She just lets her ass hang out. People really, really hate her, or they kind of tolerate her because she's such a fabulous housewife addition. I don't know that anyone's like a huge personal Vicki fan. I'm a housewife Vicki fan though. Like I can't picture OC without her.
Me neither. I think, yeah, it's like I said to you before, I think Vicki is someone who people have very strong opinions about Vicki. And I think that we see all sides of every housewife, not only in 13 seasons, but really you see them in maybe only 2 seasons. You could see all sides of a person just because you have to see the good and the bad. I think the housewives like to say that they know how to play the game, which I think is once you start using that term, that's when you know things go bad, because housewives try very much to go on a certain image, try and look a certain way. They want to show their best selves at all times. And Vicki, for some reason, out of all now 13 seasons of the show, we've seen her authentic self, good and bad. So for me, it makes me love her as a housewife. I love watching her because she will always be her authentic self. She never tries to put on a show, because even if she does try a little bit, it's a mess. It never works, ever.
It's a mess. I mean, this is the woman who pees on a bed and lives to go on, showing her face in public.
Right, exactly. She pees on Tamra's bed. I think, and I said this to you before, I think most of the OC housewives have a very hard time not showing their authentic selves. I think we see that with Shannon Bedore, who shows her authentic self at all times. As much as she might want to say her marriage with David's great, for example, in the past few years, we see that it's not good. Even Tamra, I think, is now the one who probably tries the most to put on a show, only because she tries to do the whole Christian act. But the thing with Tamra is that even though she's doing that, the evil side of Tamra, which I love, and I encourage Tamra to be evil and worship Satan and beyond. Instead of worshiping Jesus, I prefer worshiping Satan.
Worshiping Satan. Tamra, we would like you to turn back to Lucifer, please.
Yeah, exactly. Tamra is someone who just has Satan inside of her, and I don't like her trying to get it out. I love the fact that Tamra's an evil woman. But but even now she's trying to be Christian, she still can't help herself. She's still a mess and will scream like this, and that's my opinion. Like she'll still do it. We saw it in the trailer with Shannon when she's screaming at Shannon. Just listen, Shannon.
Yeah, she says, stop. She's screaming, ironically, stop screaming. It's like, that's who Tamra is. She screams at people to stop screaming, or she screams like, Jesus is going to forgive me. I mean, she's just she's so the opposite of whatever she professes to be. But she's a great housewife too.
My favorite Tamra moment is just simply when I always say post baptism. My favorite Tamra moment is when she was yelling at Kelly going, "You bitch," in season 11. And that was like evil Satan Tamra coming out, where her voice actually changed. And she was like, "You bitch, how dare you talk about my daughter?" And I've actually never heard Tamra use that kind of a voice before because it was so low. But it was such a great moment because that was like evil Tamra, like possessed by the devil, like screaming at Kelly Dodd, who was also a Satan monster that season. But I love her now.
I love Kelly too. I started really loving Kelly last year.
Me too.
Even that dud of the season, Kelly carried it though. I mean, she was the only thing. Yeah, she was MVP. She was the only thing worth watching. She was licking the glass, at that restaurant.
I forgot about that. I think I metaphorically licking the glass, and I was like, what does that mean? I like that. And then I realized you were...
And she was just like, I'm out here. I'm showing up at the Quiet Woman drunk off my ass. I'm not even supposed to be filming here. I mean, I kind of loved that because everyone was refusing to film together last year. Now, in addition to the 2 new housewives that we saw in the promo shot and in the trailer, we also see the addition of Vicki's 6th new face. I look more like Vicki Gunvalson than Vicki looks like Vicki Gunvalson at this point. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this? Is this Facetune? Because it looks, the shot of her that is just blowing its way through the internet and just shocking people far and wide. It looks different than her face in the trailer. Like the moving, living Vicki on camera doesn't look as whacked out different as that freaking picture.
Right. What? First of all, what's Vicki's like face inspiration? Is it her daughter Brianna? Is it Gretchen, who she always seems to start looking like? She starts looking like a version of Gretchen. I'm picturing, now you said you look more like her than she does. I'm picturing Vicki just going, I want the Erin Martin face. Like I'm very inspired by Erin Martin face. It's just beautiful girl. And I'm not going to look like Miss Piggy, Slade. All this is just out of revenge for Slade. Like she's only getting her 6th face because she hates Slade Smiley that much. And don't we all, by the way?
Don't we all? I hate Slade Smiley so much that I can't actually stop mentioning him. I'm giving him more promotional material than I really need to in my podcast. I've tried to stop talking about him so much because I'm obsessed with hating him.
I hate him so much.
Like I would never go to the extent of like changing my face if Slade insulted me. I mean, she took that hard and she is not stopping. She is addicted to it now. And I think you mentioned before, you brought me back to that moment in, what season was it, when she showed up at the barbecue?
Season 8, the clam bake. She was like,
where her face wasn't fully baked yet. It was like still fresh out of the oven of plastic surgery. Like it hadn't settled. Like it was like deformed bread.
No,
and
like the clams, they were. It was an absolutely raw face. It was a raw bar, raw face.
But is that what's happening again? Like, did she get that promo shot and it is like her face hadn't depuffed from whatever she'd done? Because she truly looks like a different person.
Well, Vicki never learned from her mistakes. Vicki's hasn't learned, and I said this to you, she showed up at Heather Dubrow's clam bake where Terry Dubrow just wanted onion rings, and instead we saw Vicki's clam face, raw clam face, that she got the surgery like the day before they started filming. And so she just never learned her lesson. Like she needs to stop getting procedures like the day before you start shooting. In this case, she clearly got surgery the day before they did their promo shoot. And I don't know if she thinks that the more recent the surgery was, the fresher your face is. Cause I don't really know if that's like her mindset, because that has to like de-swell for like months. I think it took her the entire season 8 to like actually like make her face look somewhat normal again, or like the most like herself. So I don't know. I mean, she claims on Instagram that she said she commented in her own photo saying that like she doesn't know what happened. She said it's all Photoshop and it has nothing to do with her. I don't believe her because she's a liar. But I appreciate her attempt at in her defense, I will say that Tamra's promo shot, and I think Tamra's gorgeous, they did some weird Photoshop on Tamra where she looks like Jim Carrey in The Mask when she's smiling. She's like this. She's like I can't do the teeth because they're so crazy. She's like.
If you're listening to the audio podcast, we're trying to make faces at each other that resemble what these chicks look like. Because it's shocking. It's shocking. If you've seen it, then you know what we're talking about. If you haven't, go directly to Bravo's homepage, bravo.com, and look for the OC trailer, look for the promo shots, and just do a deep dive on their Instagrams, because they're actually tweeting them out and putting them on their Instagrams like, hey, look at me. They're not, it's not embarrassing for them. And I'm like, no, this is an embarrassing moment. Something really bad happened, or some intern over at Bravo hates your ass because they fucked with your face big time.
I would yell at them. I would say for Vicki, she looks like she skinned her grandson's face and put it on her own, and Brianna's. And so she's wearing her grandson's young baby face. And Tamra looks like she got like injections, like Botox injections right in the forehead, like right when the nerve is. Yeah, and it like hit the nerve, and they're like, and so it hit the nerve. She's like, God damn it! And they're like, you're ready, Tamra. So she's posing like this.
She's like doing, eyebrows way up, wide eyes, and like big weird, mask smile. You're right. It's the mask. It's everything that we expect from the OC, though. I mean, this cast changes the most from year to year, I would say. Well, I mean, maybe they're followed closely by Beverly Hills. Like when you look at the shot of the cast every year, you're like, wait, who is coming back and who's new? Like you have to actually break it down and really look at it to decide, do I know that person? Are they a housewife? And then you're like, oh yeah, they've been on for 10 seasons.
Right.
Okay, there's the new bitch over there. It's so shocking.
Also, why are the two new girls, I just want to say in the cast photo, why are the two new girls pushed to the end? They're like not in the shot. Like the photo is so strange to me because it looks like, especially Gina, is like so at the end. They're both on the left side and it looks like they were not in the picture at all. And they just kind of threw them in, but like you don't want, like, it's just a very awkwardly posed shot. I just want to say that. It doesn't make sense to me.
And you were saying too how it looks like it was shot in Vicki's insurance office. Bingo. It really does.
Yeah, they put a backdrop in Vicki's office and or Tamara's basement. And I always say with the OC that they usually have, for some reason, the worst photo shoots. They're like not good. And I get that they're supposed to be relatable, but I always enjoyed the shots they do in the backyard where they like shoot in Vicki's backyard on the grotto near the pool. Gorgeous shot. Let's do that again. Why are we shooting Vicki's insurance office next to her secretary, whatever her name is?
Yeah, well, because Vicki works. Vicki works, Brandon. She works. She needs. Yeah, I work. You have to shoot it here because I work. Yeah. So I'm sure she's just telling them that. I'm sure she's like, I can't go to a photo shoot. I'm at work. And they're like, okay, well, fucking come to your work. We'll take the shot of you there.
And she's like, fine, but the girls are not talking to me. They're mean. They're mean. I like when she says liar face. She goes, they're liar faces. Liar faces. I mean.
Jesus will forgive me. Tamara might, but Jesus will. Okay, so speaking of like super janky promos, shots, talking heads, wardrobe, and taglines, let's talk about Potomac. Yay. I love Potomac, but I have to throw shade over everything that goes into their promotional materials. I mean, they truly are looking like the bottom of the barrel. They haven't changed their tag. The original cast members haven't changed their taglines. They're all wearing the same dresses. It looked like TJ Maxx exploded on the stage at last year's reunion.
Yeah,
it truly did.
I will say the only one that should be grateful that their promo shot hasn't changed is Giselle, only because Giselle's stunning, but for some reason, no, well, she's stunning, but her promo shot is so gorgeous that like Giselle's probably like, thank God. Not that she's gotten any, like she's still a gorgeous girl, but like she just has one of the best shots I've ever seen of any housewife of her opening tag, which is like word on the street, and it's just like that gorgeous dress and hair. But I would love to see a new Giselle look. I want to see everyone have a new look. Karen looks nothing like herself in her opening tagline because she clearly lost a bunch of weight since the first season. So It's like old Karen versus new Karen with the crazy wigs. That we need new shots. We need new shots.
I demand a shot in the opening credits of Karen's wig shift because that is iconic. That I demand it because that was one of the most iconic Housewives things I've ever seen. And it didn't even get enough play on Twitter as far as I'm concerned. I was like, why aren't people talking about this for, I don't know, a week afterwards? It was, I rewound it probably 30 times.
I've seen it so many times. And Karen's intro should be her in the dress, but like with the sunglasses on the wig like she tried to do. And the tagline just simply goes, we good. She's like, we good. As it's like slipping off her head.
She's amazing because she is so delusional and so batshit crazy. And she throws so much shade. She lies constantly, which are all the makings of a powerhouse housewife. We know this. Mm-hmm. And she also lived through her wig falling off of her head. She put it back on, basically just like pasted it on her head with those sunglasses and kept shooting the goddamn scene. She kept shooting the scene, Brandon. I was like,
we good.
I'm like, we not good. Like no other could you imagine Erica Jane living to tell the story of, like her weave getting even one hair out of place? I mean, Karen's wig falls off and she still comes back and keeps arguing.
Yeah, she's still arguing, and I love Karen for that. Karen is one of the MVP housewives, I will say. She's great, and she's such a liar too, speaking of liar face, that she's like what she was doing with the whole charity thing by having the girls write checks to her personal fund, or as Robin Dixon said, her plastic surgery fund. And Karen's like, I know these women are not questioning how I'm doing charity. Like she's like, how dare they? These, and what she calls them? She calls them batches. She goes, these batches don't understand.
and she doesn't even make an explanation for it. She's like, this is how I do it.
Yeah.
I funnel your funds to my personal account and you're going to write the check and you're going to like it. Her husband's got $11 million suit coming against him from the federal government. She's in serious trouble. And she's just distancing herself from that husband and she's trying to collect money from her castmates and she is making no bones about it.
No, she does not care. And the girls like chameleon her to her face, which is pretty amazing because they just put her on blast and Karen's reactions just like slurp on wine and be like, no, we good. Okay, bye batch is what she says.
Bye, batch.
Bye, batch. She goes, these batches. And the only one who says batch as well is actually Tamara Judge on OC, who says batch. She goes, hi, batch.
Yeah, hey, batch.
Hey, batch. But instead, Karen does it as a way to like really insult them. She goes, these thirsty batches don't understand that I'm running a charity. The Karen Huger, like Karen, what is it? Karen O?
No, it's oh Karen Huger, like oh like oh fucking captain, my captain, or like a stolen low rent O from stolen from Oprah. I'm like, what is this O?
What's the O? I don't know what the O is. I said to you before that Karen's that girl who thinks that she's like Oprah and Beyonce. She could just have one name. So instead, especially if Ray goes to jail, she's dropping that Huger name so quickly and going, I'm just Karen. I'm just me. Karen's me. I'm Karen.
Right. She'll want to do just like an Erica, or maybe she'll get an alter ego and start like gyrating on stage or something. I could see Karen going in any direction.
I hope she takes Robin's nickname for her, which was Karen Huger, which I hope she takes.
Karen Huger, how much do you love her writing down her business plan of cents?
Yes.
S-E. She goes, I've always been interested in sense. And she takes a notepad out and she's very seriously looking at it, and they're filming her just writing sense. And then she invites them all to basically be involved in a pyramid scheme or something. Mm-hmm. She's like, I want you on the ground floor, i.e. I want your money because I'm not really starting a business. I'm just getting in on some pyramid scheme and I need other bitches to join this with me.
Yeah, exactly. And I also would love to know the role of Matt, her assistant / is he a lawyer / publicist? Maybe. She was just like, Matt knows everything and he controls everything. And at one point I remember like she got into the limo and she like put her like feet on Matt's lap.
Yes, she did. And I screenshotted that shit. I was like, what is this? And no one has addressed it. I don't understand. That better come up at the reunion. They better have a still shot of that and say, let's talk. Let us talk about this.
Who is he though? Like, I still don't understand his role. And she goes, Matt comes with me everywhere. I was like, we've never met him. And I like how the women have been like, we've never met Matt. And Giselle and Robin and like Charisse, who've known Karen since, I don't even know, so for however many years since Karen got her first wig. And they've never seen Matt before. Matt's a new figure. Matt's a new face.
And Matt looks very scared most of the time. He looks like an animal in captivity. Like he's docile, but he would probably escape at any point if like the door was cracked open. Like he's there because he's being fed and watered. But he if you just like let his leash loose a little bit, he's gonna run. Yeah. He looks very scared. He's so sketchy. It's so weird. Okay, well we could talk. We're gonna move on from Potomac because we have so much to talk about when it comes to Southern Charm.
Okay.
But would you tell people Potomac is worth watching? I would.
Potomac is absolutely worth watching. I would say if you really just want to get into it, start with at least season 2. But honestly, I didn't mind season 1, especially because I binge watched most of it again, and it really wasn't that bad. Like they took a cast trip to like Bethany Beach, which was pretty janky, but like the scenes were so funny. Giselle was like not willing to sleep in a twin bed, and she's like, I'm not participating. I'm getting a hotel. Like that's funny shit. And Karen's like in the master bedroom. And Katie Ross, the season 1 cast member, is pretty nuts. So I would say start with season 1, but if you really are like, I'm not doing it, then start with season 2.
Yeah, you can start with season 2. Season 1 was funny because of Katie's character. She was really unhinged and she thought she was getting married to this guy. She was totally nuts. She was almost like giving me Kelly Ben Simone vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And allegedly was maybe on some substances that added to her behavior. But yeah, I think season 3, they're hitting their stride. I like the new cast members. I like that it's not just one age range all against Ashley, the young one, anymore. I like that it's more evenly balanced. And I think we're kind of getting over that. What's Potomac? Like, where's Potomac? It doesn't really matter. It's it's a suburban housewives show. It could really be anywhere. Yeah. It's like early Jersey. And it just is, it's good. It's good. It's worth watching. It's no New York, but what is? The Suburban
Housewives are great housewives. OC's suburban, Jersey suburban, Potomac suburban. They're great. I said this to you before. It's very Desperate Housewives-esque. You have people in certain communities are rich. Suburban politics is always fascinating, and it's great to see on television. New York is still the best. That's still the best housewives show, but don't sleep on the Suburban Housewives. They are very fascinating to watch, and I recommend.
They are, and they're weirdly relatable, even though they're absolutely insane. Yeah. So Southern Charm, we have to talk about many things. We have to talk about the reunion teasers that we've been reading about. Of course, Ashley Jacobs is what everyone has on their lips and doesn't want to.
Speaking of Satan.
Speaking of Lucifer and worshiping Lucifer, yes. So I don't know who's worse. I mean, Ashley or T-Rab. For me, Thomas Ravenel's the grossest human being ever,
He's
considering.
vile.
Yeah. But so he really deserves Ashley, and it couldn't be happening to a nicer person or to a better person. I mean,
Yeah.
I love seeing her torture him, or allegedly hearing about how she's not accepting the breakup and the rumors of her maybe being a hired gun, maybe being a call girl, and how she went to the reunion without him and they basically didn't even pay her. She just like went there on her own dime. She showed up. She fought her own stupid battle, and the whole cast loathes her. I mean, they openly loathe her, and I think Thomas does too. What do you, before we get into the episode this week, what are your thoughts on the whole Ashley thing? Do you think there's any truth to these rumors, or what's her deal?
I think they're probably true to the rumors. I mean, she moved. I think if she's not a call girl, she's at least just incredibly desperate and a fame whore. I mean, she moved to Charleston seemingly after a week of meeting Thomas Ravenel.
Right.
You don't just, I mean, even if you want to move for a guy, you don't do it after a week. That doesn't happen. It's not real. No. I feel bad that Catherine has to even take any of this seriously because her children are involved, and the stuff that Ashley has even said to her was some of the most vile things I've ever heard anyone say ever. It's not even just on reality TV, but just like in life. I've never heard anyone say something so nasty to a mother, and also expecting their respect in any way.
Yeah, it seemed like she was trying to rile things up on camera, or she's just that evil. That's the question people are asking. Is she doing this to make some kind of horrific name for herself, or is she really hired in a capacity to be like this evil shrew to make Thomas look better? Because okay, we have to remember Thomas is truly being investigated for rape allegations. He is truly going through basically a downfall of his character for good reason, because I think there's truth to much of it. And but people are so focused on Ashley being evil that he's actually looking better for it. And so I'm like, wait, is this all working? Is this an evil plan that's actually working? Am I part of this? Like, what's happening?
I think Southern Charm, the major theme of this season's this like the boys protecting each other and the girls getting shit on. I think I mean, Ashley's evil, so we should shit on her, but I think you're right. It does take away from the fact that Thomas Ravenel is a terrible human being. And it really was kind of stunning to me to see Thomas really not say anything to Ashley, knowing all the stuff he was saying towards the mother of his children. It was really, I was shocked. I mean, like, maybe I shouldn't be shocked by his behavior because he's an awful human, a disgusting, vile, garbage person. But I just thought at least he would say something to the mother of his children, saying something to Ashley, saying, "Don't say that towards the mother of my children," in the actual moment. Instead, he was just like, "Can't we all just get along, Ashla?"
Yeah, and then he went into that weird trance on the boat and screamed at Chelsea. And I was like, right there is who this guy is. He is a scary, abusive asshole. And that's my opinion. That's my opinion.
That's my opinion.
In my Tamra voice. So I just think he is. And in that moment, it was like, oh, he got rid of like his mayor speech that he does in his interviews when he's acting like he's running for office. And that showed me that's actually what he thinks of women. And also when he said the now famous quote, to Patricia about Ashley wanting him to come home at night and wanting more of his time, he said, "I have all the money and all the power. What is she going to do?" I'm like, that's who you are. That's who you are, asshole. So I really think Ashley is working wonders for his image because we are so focused on her.
And destroying her own image as we see every week.
She will, I mean, what is she going to do after this? What the hell are her options?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know if she thought that she was going to get the public support this season. I mean, I don't really remember what people thought of Catherine last year. I always liked her and I always thought she was really fun, but I a fun cast member, but I also knew her faults and she was clearly on substances, and I love her even more this season. I don't really know if Ashley thought she was going to get the public support. I guess she did, because she went around she was really proud of herself for the way she spoke to Catherine, and I guess she must have thought that people were going to stand behind her, which was, classic dumb idiot move. I don't really know where she can go from here. I mean, she's a joke. So
yeah, she's a joke. She's on Instagram. She has like a couple of defenders out there who are under, bot accounts who are like, "You go girl, stand strong." And she's like, "Thank you." She wrote something like, "Jesus will protect." She's just pulling a Tamra thing. She's like, "Jesus is on my side." She invoked the Lord. She also, the Christian Lord. She also invoked, she wrote something really vile that someone forwarded me on Twitter just last night. And it was a commenter on her Instagram said something about, "I hope all these people who are trolling you go back under a bridge." And she said, "Or jump off of it."
Oh God.
Yeah,
Okay,
she's
Jesus is
just
on your side, really? Okay.
yeah, she's a nasty piece of work. So I am waiting to see her on the reunion. I want to
Me
see
too.
her get roasted. I
I want
do.
to
I
get her.
mean,
I want to see her get roasted Kim Zolciak style. That would be everything I need. But like even worse, like turn it up an extra notch and just like really roast her. I want to see what Cameron says to Ashley and which because Cameron for some reasons the girl. Well, first of all, we just haven't seen a lot of Cameron this season, so I would like to see it with the group. So I'd like to see her thoughts and hear her thoughts about all this. But also, Cameron's the one girl that defends the guys, which always has bothered. I love Cameron, but that really bothers me about her. I don't really know why she takes the guy's side. She tries to be neutral, but she ends up always being on the guy's side.
agree.
So
Yeah,
I
I
would
don't like
love to
that
see,
either.
yeah, I would love to hear her thoughts because I think if she even tries to defend Thomas or Ashley, she will, and I don't think she will, but if she does, she'll be put on blast immediately.
I have this spidey sense that Cameron's husband is stepping in behind the scenes because I've heard reports that most of the women and most of the important women, because you know some cast members are ranked higher than others. You know, a Chelsea wouldn't have the weight to carry any kind of policy or procedure in the future like a Cameron would, who's the narrator of the show. So I've heard that some of the heavy hitter women on the show have refused to film with Thomas in the future, which is probably
Good.
why his contract won't be renewed. And I'm like, you know, Cameron and probably her husband, who seems like a normal presence for the sheer fact that he refuses to be on the show, is probably saying, like, you can no longer align yourself with this man if you want to have any reputation in the media or in Charleston, because
Right.
you just can't at this point. Like, the whole Bravo thing where they're like, we're investigating and we're going to see what happens. It's like, no, no, no. This is actually a police matter. This is a real investigation. This is real shit. This isn't just like Thomas being a pig on the show. And
Right.
I don't see how anyone who wants any kind of career afterwards could align with him.
I also wish production would just take a stand and officially fire him and announce it. I know that they took a stand by not inviting him to the reunion. That's like fine. That's a good step. We should see that he's publicly fired. And if they don't announce it at the reunion, I'll actually be pretty disappointed just because they need to announce it. They need to announce that he's fired. Like he cannot come back next year. And I don't think he will be back, but I think they just keep saying we're under investigation. That's fine. But let's make a statement now. Like I honestly expect a statement at the reunion. They have to acknowledge that he's not there.
I do too. Oh, my dog is barking. We'll just pause for a second. Let me see if I'll edit this out. Chewy. It was your poochie yesterday. Today it's mine. Okay.
I know.
So yeah, I hope that they make an announcement then too. But I have heard from Inquisitor and other people who are reporting on this like day to day with updates that his contract expires at the end of the season. So they might pull what they pull with the Housewives, which is always to give them the chance to say that they're leaving. They never say that a housewife is fired.
Never.
They always give them the chance to say, I've chosen to leave the show. But it's because the contracts go year to year. They're never multi-year.
Right.
So they could just say, we're not giving you a new contract. How would you like to make your exit? I have a feeling that they might do that, but I wish that they would take a stand, like you said, and say, we are not having him back, because I feel like they need to be on the right side of history with this.
They do. The only housewife they've ever publicly fired was Adrienne Maloof by Andy announcing at the reunion she would not be returning to the show.
Right.
We need that. We need that and more for Thomas Ravenel.
Right.
I mean, honestly, we need Andy Cohen to announce that he's not coming back. And then we need a statement from, is it Haymaker? What's the production?
Haymaker, which I've heard is very, there are some misogynistic issues going on within the main producers at Haymaker. I don't know details, but I've heard that they have really worked hard to make Catherine like the femme fatale vixen, and just be basically like have that toxic masculinity that makes all the women the evil hoes and the men just the poor befuddled guys who are trying to, fall in love and get married. So that's why Thomas has gotten this really good edit in the past. Mm-hmm. And Catherine has been made out to be so evil, but it's like this year, the tables are turning.
Well, I think this is very clear because honestly, they picked up a show from Whitney Soldier-Smith that was supposed to be all about men. The whole thing was supposed to be called Southern Gentlemen. So of course it was going to be a whole show about men. They're going to pick up. It was probably supposed to put men in a good light. They gave Shep his own show despite him harassing Chelsea last year, and who knows what else he's done. I'm not going to make assumptions, but we saw enough with Chelsea last year on screen that was pretty gross enough. I think that I'm going to make the assumption that they probably know more about Thomas than they're letting on. Sorry. I'm just going to put it out there, and it's okay. Now we have to rectify it and say that he's fired, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some misogynistic people in that production company. I would love to know if it was the production company or Bravo who said you need to hire women, because it was all about men first, and then they hired the women later.
Right, exactly. And you can tell it feels very much like that. The women are the ancillary characters still. Now,
Always.
let's talk about another really average dude who really beautiful women are fighting over inexplicably. Austin, Victoria, and Chelsea are in a
Who
love
talks like
triangle.
this?
Yeah,
Just
who talks with his tongue out. And he's also he's thinking of himself as this, entrepreneur because he went to a brewery and said, "Hey, can I call your beer mine and have a party and make believe that I created this?" And they said, "Sure, here you go." And so it's just so pathetic. And I feel like, why are these women, is Charleston's dating pool so bleak that these women who could do so much better are fighting over frickin' Austin?
I must be, because Austin, to me, I don't know what his charm is. The only thing that seems good about him is that he seems to be nice, but like, we don't just date people because they're nice. I mean, like, Jesus, like, his tongue is out of his mouth, like, "Ugh." And like, it's just, and his mouth is always moving even when he's not speaking. So people who were watching right now can see him go like, that's what his mouth is doing even when he's not talking. Like, he's just like not saying words, but he's still like,
He's chewing on his tongue a lot. He's instead of putting in a dip or a chew, he's chewing on his tongue. That's his habit. Yeah, it's disgusting.
right. I don't know why people are fighting over him. I mean, I think Chelsea's gorgeous and I really love her. I think she's really great and seems like a really sweet, nice, and really put together girl. Victoria weirds me out because I don't know. I think Victoria has a lot of expectations for a girl who's dating one of her good friends' ex-boyfriend.
Exactly. And it's just, yeah, it's a little too much too soon. It's like, well, we just kind of saw you on camera recently and you're like, "I'm making soup. Make sure you come home. What are you doing on Instagram?" I mean, she's kind of getting the weird psychotic girlfriend vibes too early,
Yeah, and
you know?
she wants to be on TV, but when Chelsea comes up to her and says, "Can we talk?" She's like, "No," and like, it was a little awkward. I mean,
Stupid.
the whole thing's awkward, but I'm also like, you know what, Victoria, you just came into a television show that Chelsea and Austin were already on. They were already dating, and I don't know what you expect. I mean, I get that you need like some basic, decent respect, but I think that Chelsea said everything she needed to say, which was, "I didn't mean to do anything, nor did I mean to disrespect you."
Yeah.
But it was
And
also honest and was like, we have a friendship.
right. Right. And also, like, it's Austin. You know what I mean?
Austin,
Like, does anybody really want him that badly? I don't know. I don't get it. So what else? What else happened? Do we really think that Catherine and Shep are they trying to make us believe that there's something there? I mean, I was kind of shocked to learn that they did hook up in the past, and it wasn't
Yeah.
the distant past. It was like after her firstborn. And
So it was a
so
couple years ago. Jesus.
couple years ago, I know, but I was thinking, oh, maybe it was like before the Thomas stuff, because she was like kind of making the rounds. And not, again, this is not her. She can have sex with whoever she wants, but a lot of the guys were really into her, at that time before she hooked up with Thomas, which was her fatal mistake. So,
Yeah.
but no, it has been since then. Are we thinking that Bravo is just kind of like trying to tease us that this could be a thing, or do you see any potential there?
I mean, I think that they are actually a pretty okay match. I think that Bravo's just teasing us a little bit. I'm not surprised that they're even talking about it because I'm sure they're asked like, "Oh, what do you think of Shab? Like, what do you think of Catherine? What do you think what do you think a relationship could be?" And I'm sure they have to explore it. They've been on the show together for so many years.
Yeah.
I don't think anything would actually happen between them because I think that Shep, I'm going to be honest, I think that Shep doesn't want to date someone with kids, nor has the history of being with Thomas. I think that's just Shep. I think that Shep wants things to be very, 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 very like, not only non-committal, but also, very casual, but also has no actual tie to the show. I also think that I was always rooting for Catherine and Craig to get together, actually. So I'm always
Me too.
So I've always been wanting them to get together because I really think that they're very, very sweet. They may not be the best match, but I think that they're very, very sweet. And I think Craig is so clearly really likes her, and I remember the whole thing about season 1 is that Craig was like in love with her and that she wouldn't get with him. Even though I think it was rumored that they did get together like one time.
I think they did. And also it was rumored that they got together when they got lost on that golf cart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And they had to dig a hole to survive and all of it. And it was like, okay, whatever. You guys just slept on the beach and you came back and who cares? But
right.
Yeah, I think there really is something there, at least on Craig's end. I mean, the way he looks at her. And
I think he really likes her. I do.
I know. And I really love Craig for defending her when no one else would.
Yeah,
he was
and that's
like,
probably why I root for them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he doesn't have the level of misogyny that the other guys have when it comes to the Good Old Boys Club, when they'd all be like, "Oh, she's just crazy, whatever." And he's like, "Well, Thomas is being an asshole. Like, you guys." Like, he would be like, "Yeah, but the guy's making her crazy." So I loved when he did that and nobody else would. Not even Cameron, one of the women.
Cameron. Yeah,
So
Cameron's always been on the guy's side. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why I root for Craig and Catherine is because like Craig has always defended her. Craig has always understood her. I know that
yeah.
Shep says that he's always understood her, but that's not really true. I mean, he says like, oh, she was crazy. But like Craig like never felt that way. Craig always was defending Catherine and always understood her side. And I just thought it was always very sweet to her. I think they have a very sweet relationship. I guess right now it's just a friendship. But I think that out of all the guys and girls like me, I would like Craig and Catherine to get together. But I can see Shep and Catherine trying it out, but I don't think it would ever really go anywhere. I just don't.
No,
I see why Shep is into her. I get why he would be kind of infatuated a little bit, but I don't know. I just don't think it would happen.
I don't see it at all. I don't see it. What do we think? Do we think Haymaker Productions is taking people out back of the factory and breaking their arms and legs at this point? Because every fucking person on the show is wearing a boot or a cast or a knee brace
Yeah.
or like I'm waiting for someone's neck to snap. I mean, everyone is injured like they've been manhandled by the producers or something. I'm like, and they're all like very sketchy, like, oh, I hurt myself with a butter knife, or
Yeah, I'm like still trying to understand like Craig's injury because I can't put my mind around it because I remember they showed us like the destruction in his home and it was just like a couple of little dings and like one little section of like where he clearly destroyed the wall, but I can't get my mind around what that injury actually is.
no. And it's like we've seen Ramona Singer can, with her bare hands destroy a room better than Craig can destroy one little hole. And she doesn't even have to get, a cast on her hand. The New York women can destroy things all the time. Dorinda can stab herself in the hand and still
And
be,
she's fine. I stabbed myself in the hand.
she's fine. So let's move on to New York, actually.
Okay.
What are we thinking about this week? I was telling Jenny how I really got tearful, and I don't know if it's my hormones or if it's just because I recently watched season 3 of Real Housewives of New York, which is the epic Scary Island season, and it's also where Jill and Bethany essentially break up. And Jill is very evil that season, and Bethany is bewildered. Now, flash forward to this season, and it was this week that we saw the moment of them on the street at Bobby Zarin's funeral. And
Right.
Here's where I got emotional. The Bobby montage, which I thought Bravo did such a beautiful job with. And then secondly, when Jill said to Bethany, I just want to tell you, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh my God. I mean, I seriously, tears were coming down my eyes and I couldn't, I kind of didn't expect it. Now, Jenny told me when I was on the show, and Lisser and Colleen has only watched a bit, but they were like, yeah, we didn't feel emotional. We felt like it was all a setup. How did you feel?
I don't think it was a setup. I think it was clearly two people who were awkwardly interacting after not being together for years and you were interacting in such really sad circumstances. I don't think it was set up. I think it's set up in the way that they have production cameras out there, but I don't think the situation was set up. I think Bethany genuinely wanted to talk to Jill. I think Jill genuinely wanted to talk to Bethany. Even hearing them interact, it's that awkwardness of people who haven't spoken in years, but once had a very close relationship, plus being in a really terrible, upsetting situation.
Yeah, I mean, there were many factors at play. The inappropriate comments you make at funerals. Everyone does that. We're always trying to. It's like I've been to my fair share. People very close to me, and then people not so close to me, and you don't know what the hell is coming out of your mouth sometimes. And so people were really jumping on Bethany for saying like, I'm alone too. When Jill said, I'm alone now. What am I going to do? I haven't been alone for however many years. And Bethany said, I'm alone too. I know. And I thought, I didn't see that as her making that moment about her. I just thought that she's just saying whatever comes into her head. She's Bethany. I
think that she wasn't trying to make it about herself. I think she was genuinely trying to come from a place of feeling that, trying to relate to Jill. I think she was trying to relate to Jill, and I think that was the way she was doing it. I don't think it was her trying to make it about herself or be an asshole. I think she genuinely thought that would make Jill feel better by saying like, oh, I'm alone too. A lot of us are alone and you could do this. I think that's where, obviously for different situations, Bethany got divorced, but I think that there's still that feeling that Bethany's trying to relate on was saying like, I'm alone too. I have this guy, now I don't. I think she was trying to be nice. Like I really do. I am a Bethany defender, but I will call her out in moments that I think she needs to be called out on. I don't really think this was one of them.
I agree. I definitely call her out on moments where I think she is acting terribly. I think, for instance, that she was vile to Ramona when Ramona brought up her skincare line. And I thought she was the biggest hypocrite that ever walked the earth when she was like, really oh, rude. What are you doing? An infomercial? And it's like, Bethany, your whole life on the show is one long infomercial. Like, ye of the skinny girl snowboard behind your head.
Right.
Let us not forget. # never forget. And also her skinny girl jeans and all, just that bedazzled nightmare.
Ugly jeans. I'm sorry. Those weird weird jeweled jeans I cannot see anymore. And like, it's jeans, skinny girl jeans. They're really nice. They're nice jeans, skinny girl jeans. And then this is what she says a lot. She goes, they're sick. She always says that about things. They're sick. Isn't it sick? Skinny girl jeans, sick.
Well, much like the phrase "they're sick," the jeans are like 10 years ago.
They're sick.
They're super bedazzled. They have the weird, like, shiny pockets. I mean, and they're also jeggings or pajama jeans. They have like elastic waistband. I don't know. I think it's a straight to the clearance section of, Ross Dress for Less, maybe, or something like that in the future of those jeans. I can't see those jeans being like the front window of a really high-end department store. I just can't see that happening. So
I also love the idea that Bethany's saying that skinny girl jeans with the name skinny girl they're all-inclusive jeans. They're all-inclusive jeans. All girls can wear them. I'm proud. All-inclusive jeans. They're jeans. They're sick.
They're all-inclusive jeans because they have an elastic fucking waistband. They're all-inclusive jeans.
They're all-inclusive jeans. And I see girls wearing them and they're sick. Like,
I see girls wearing them who I'm paying to wear them. They're sick.
Exactly. They're sick.
Yeah. Totally.
But so also, I will say about Bethany and Jill as last things that, like, there are cameras there. Like, on top of being awkward funeral moments, there was also cameras there. That's all I have to say. Yeah. It's just that adds things to it,
And also, Jill invited the cameras, or I don't know whether she invited them, but she definitely signed off on it. Those cameras weren't following Bethany. They were following Jill. Now, I'm also going to say something very controversial. I also said it on Jenny's show, so here it is twice. I'm ready for Jill Zarin back on The Real Housewives of New York. She's single now. All the castmates are single. I think she could add a dynamic that is missing, even though, the Housewives of New York, they're a dream team. So it's not like I think anything in particular is missing. But when we're seeing the cast fracture right now and everyone turn against Bethany, we found out recently that she unfollowed everyone on social media. Let's bring Jill back. I think she could give Bethany maybe a run for her money in a friendly way. She also has an abiding connection to a lot of the other cast members. And Carol, for me, is driving me absolutely crazy this season. And I think she would tone that shit down.
I would love to see the interactions with Jill and the new girls because she's friends with Ramona, who she's like good with again. She's friends with she's friendly with Bethany. I think they'd be friends again if she came back. She's good with Luann. She's been friends with Dorinda for years. They've never been on the show together ever, but they are friends. And I'd love to see the way she interacts with Carol, who I don't think she would like very much. And I would love to see the way she interacts with Tinsley, who I think she just like. Well, Jill is very superficial, so I think she'd appreciate Tinsley just like for some sort of status thing. But I think that she would kind of be like, oh, she's stupid. Like, just feel like she'd be like, because Jill's also the first one to be like, well, she's a moron.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And I think she could take some of those zingers away from Bethany because Bethany has too many of them now. Like when Bethany's good, she's great. But when we get too much of her being just the sarcastic shrew, then that's when people start turning on her. So I think Jill could like balance it out by bringing her own flavor of snark, which used to be great before she turned evil. Before she started using her powers for evil, she was using them to be an awesome housewife.
Also, Jill defended Bethany on Twitter about all of that, like, about people getting mad at her. She defended her saying like she was just trying to be helpful.
Yes, she did. And so there is something real, and I don't think it was staged. And I think it's time for her to come back. You know that Jill wants to come back. She would come back in a heartbeat. She has complained just this year. I wrote an article on Reality Tea about she spilled something to Page 6. It was a friend of Jill Zarin, the source, the unnamed source, which was Jill calling up Page 6, saying she doesn't want Bravo using her life or, these moments, these tender moments to get her for free. She really needs to be paid for her services. So I'm like, you know what? Just pay her. Just give her a contract. Even if she comes back as friend of, Luann was a friend of one season and she wrote it out and she was still in every scene. I want her back. I want her back.
I think even a taste of Jill Zarin is fine. If they make her as a friend, that's better than nothing. I'm welcome to a return because I think that she'd be able to bring these girls together in some way. I really do. And so I'm just curious to see how the interaction would be because I also think that she would get into some pretty wicked fights with, honestly, I can see her getting into a fight with Dorinda.
Totally. Yeah. I can see that. And okay, here's also what could happen. My imagination's running wild with possibilities now, Brandon. Okay, so here is what could definitely go down. Jill is at her best when there's an underdog hot mess that she can take under her wing and help. Sonia Morgan is that hot mess.
Yeah,
Sonia Morgan is one step away from being the crazy homeless lady yelling at you from the church steps, looking through her things and sniffing her underwear. I mean, Jill could go into that townhouse or wherever Lady Morgan is living by next season, again, on the street potentially. And she could like bring her onto her bed and counsel her and pet her and kind of revamp her image. Don't you think? I mean, that would be
Yes.
perfect.
I want to see Jill walk into her townhouse, and we just see Jill walking into Sonya's townhouse, and we just hear her go, "Oh my God!" And just
Right.
like have
Did you paint over this bird poop, Sonya? Okay, now listen. She would be lecturing her, and Sonya would probably just take it. She would probably
she'd be like, nobody would rent this. Nobody would rent this. I wouldn't rent this. My daughter Allie wouldn't rent this. I wouldn't rent this.
I love it. Okay. Well, you know what? If we were in charge of the world, this is what would happen because this is a perfection. I mean, her taking Sonya under her wing would be perfection. Okay. We need to talk about Tinsley and Dale, and we need to talk about the cringeworthy factor from 1 to 10 of their scenes. Did we find them endearing, or did you find that like the darkest, loneliest moment ever when Tinsley was sitting in her wedding dress, unengaged with her mom, crying over her 7 quote unquote babies, which are frozen eggs?
It was one of the saddest things I've ever seen on television ever. And it was so funny. And I could have seen more of it. Like just hear her go, oh, and just, those are my babies. Those are my babies. And she's meanwhile staring at, I mean, she could have looked at an x-ray and like, it would have been like, it's just so ridiculous. Like she could have looked at, what made me laugh is that like, her looking at her eggs and acting as though those are babies when they're not even embryos. It's like her staring at a plate of scrambled eggs on the plate and that you're eating, and she's like, "Those are my babies." Like they're not your babies yet. Like that's just not what it is.
No, and like, and the gothic, I called it like a gothic tableau too, because I mean, it's like Dale, this money genteel woman who's, I really want her to be a housewife, by the way, who's sitting there in this shop with Tinsley wearing a fucking wedding dress and crying over the eggs. It was like just too much. There were too many levels of absurdity in that scene, and then Dale breaks down in tears too. Basically,
that was shocking. I thought
they're
Dale was
wailing.
more refined than that. I thought Dale was way more refined than that. Dale, and I'm surprised that she's not. And also Tinsley, who I'm just not going to buy anything. I'm just going to like look at them and like, you know, because I'm like, yeah, I just want to see. Okay. And the guy's like fine with that. He's like, like when, you know, nobody would ever be okay with that there were no TV cameras there. She picked the worst wedding dresses to cry in as well. She just like picked out some of the worst dresses these eyes have ever seen.
these eyes. Yeah. These eyes also did not like what they saw. I didn't like the dresses she picked, but Tinsley has the weirdest style. I've said it a million times. She really, truly looks like my mom in 1988 going to work as a secretary. She wears those huge floppy bows. She wears like the secretary skirts with the little Peter Pan collars. I mean, I don't know what era she is going for, but it doesn't work for me. I mean, I think she's trying to hang on to something or make something happen that's not going to happen. It's like fetch, you know, it's just not going to happen, Tinsley. And so also, how did you find this? Like the irony of her saying to her Mom, I don't want you to pressure my boyfriend into marriage. You can't be, you're going to scare him off. And it's like, bitch, then you go to a wedding dress shop and you try on dresses without his knowledge and with no ring in sight. And then stare at your eggs and cry. It's like, oh yeah, your mom's really going to scare him off, not your crazy psycho ass.
Yeah. And she's like, we're not going to tell him. Okay, Mom.
Like, as the cameras are like panning in. She might as well have her social security number. Yeah, like we're not going to tell him.
That was so bad. I think he's going to run for the hills. I mean, he looked pretty terrified when he even visited her, and she was like, oh, like back in the beginning of the season when he surprised her, and they were in the car calling Dale, and she was like, look, mommy, no, and like he looked like he was not like ready to stay with her, even though I think they're still together, but that's a shock to me.
Yeah, I know. It kind of is a shock. I mean, he seems like just a regular old Chicago guy, but who knows? Maybe he finds that exciting. Maybe he likes her doing the coupon cabin commercials, because we sure as hell know there's about 4 on every single time Housewives is on out.
So awkward. I've never seen, and oddly enough, Tinsley's the best actor in that commercial, because you have Carol who's like, wow, it's coupon cabin, and Dorinda is like just using her catchphrases. She's like, clap.
I know. And like, we really think Carol has ever used a coupon in her whole damn life or even knows what that is. It's like, please, no. So we have to end on talking about this con body thing, and specifically Carol, because Carol throws a lot of shade at Luann during this. And she is saying the whole season how mean Bethany is and how she, you know, just doesn't understand all these jabs that Bethany, and I'm like, okay, Luann is literally still in rehab at this point, and she wasn't able to attend Bobby Zarin's funeral. And Carol cannot stop talking about, you know, how funny it is that Luann got arrested while they're doing the con body workout. Was that funny? Was that like on par with Bethany's jabs? So Carol should shut the fuck up about talking about Bethany's snark, or was it mean spirited because she hates Luann?
I might be comparing the Bethany's jobs because at least Bethany's funny. Carol's
Yeah,
not
right.
funny. Carol's not funny. Like Lex, like I see the promo next week where Carol goes like, well, her dress was really criminal. Like her dress is ugly. And I was like, you're not funny. I was like, that's not like, I would be more than welcome to hear some funny jabs. Bethany's jab about when they were like, is she dark? And Bethany was like, she was during Halloween. It was really good.
Right.
Like that was funny. Carol, is just not funny. Like, and Carol's so, like, she's just such a try hard now. Like Carol tries so hard to be like the cool chick. Really, and I used to like Carol, but like she's just trying way too hard. And like I said before, Carol, please write something. I cannot. I refuse to listen to Carol be like, I can't meet my deadline. Like I'm not going to meet my deadline because guess what? I'm bad with deadlines. Shut up.
I know. I think I mentioned this to you before, but I get so irate as I'm writing like a 3,000 word recap about Carol, who can't meet a deadline, writing like 200 words for some internet article. I'm like, Carol, shut the fuck up. You can write, write. Like, I'm not on the level of Carol as a writer, but writers can write. You sit down, you open your laptop, you open a Word document, and you write. And she is just so bitching about that. And I think that's why she's really taking offense to a lot of what Bethany's saying. I mean, Bethany has gone below the belt with some things, and I don't approve of her behavior on the whole. But Carol, I think, is very upset that Bethany is truly doing humanitarian work because Carol likes to be known for that.
Right.
And she's also truly upset because Bethany has made some remarks about like, Carol doesn't have a job. I mean, like she doesn't really work. She doesn't need to. She's old money like Tinsley. And I think that's why they've connected. Right. Bethany is a different breed, for good or for bad, and she's pointing out those differences. Again, not in a great way. Bethany's doing it not in a good way, but I think that's really getting under Carol's skin.
I mean, was it harsh that Bethany said, she doesn't have a career? Yes, but was she wrong? No, Carol doesn't have a career anymore, and that's okay. I mean, I get that she worked for ABC News. That's fantastic, but that was over 20 years ago. But Carol doesn't have a career anymore, and I kind of thought that Carol would just be kind of open about that. Like Carol doesn't have a job. Carol openly talks about, you can't say you have a career and then talk about how you don't meet deadlines. That's just not how it works. Like,
no,
it's not. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Carol has a career now when she doesn't. And there's nothing wrong with not having a career anymore. Nothing wrong with that. But don't get mad at Bethany because she's being honest.
Yeah, exactly. I think we need a Vicki Gunvalson crossover episode where she comes in and says, Carol, I work. Go to work. What do you do? What do you do all day? What do you do? Whose money is this? Whose money? How did you buy that? Yeah, that would be perfect because Carol's slow talking, kind of stoner facade matched with Vicki's manic psycho, like rapid fire questions. That would be a thing of beauty. Don't you think it would be great if we would do like a Housewives Survivor or Amazing Race and cross team pairs or cross team tribes from all the different franchises?
I've always wanted that because I would love to see Vicki say, I've always wanted a Survivor because we can get everyone to call each other out. I think Vicki calling out Carol by saying, go to work, I work, you don't have a job. Yeah, and then she would say, and Vicki does that thing with Sheila, so she goes, you don't work, you don't have a job.
She could be amazing. Also, Housewives of the past, like we could bring back like the Alexis Bolinos, who is it? Linda, or who is the one who was making the freaking cuffs?
Lynn
Curtin. We could bring her. She'd be like super confused. She wouldn't even know where she was. I mean, I am here for all of that. That would be an amazing show. I'd watch every moment.
How do you think a Tamara Bethany interaction would go? I just want to know. I'm like picturing a Tamara Bethany mix, and I'm picturing Tamara just like, that's my opinion. Like I know that Bethany is smarter than Miss Tammy Judge, but I think that Tamara would really just lose it if Bethany tried to fuck with her. I said this to you before. Tamara's one of the few housewives I'm actually genuinely afraid of because Tamara is someone who is unhinged, but also not very intelligent, but also oddly very funny. Tamara is someone I'm just like scared of. She's a scary girl. Like if she yelled at me, I'd be genuinely afraid of my life.
Right. So here, the difference between Tamara and Bethany are so like I go back to high school and I was in kind of a small central Pennsylvania high school with some scary ass girls like Tamara, not like Bethany, and so they are the scarier breed because they will hit you. They will physically hit you. If you take their man or if you perceive like to be liked by the boy they like, they'll put their hands on you. Now, Tamara's version of that is throwing wine in someone's face. I could see her totally throwing wine in Bethany's face and Bethany being shocked and horrified. Like that would absolutely happen. Like Bethany will try to cut you with her words because she's very smart and she can do that. But Tamara sometimes can't use her words. Like she can't use, she's more like a Ramona in that way. Ramona won't fight you though, but
No,
Tamra will. Tamra will tear your weave out.
If Tamara and Ramona got into a fight, Ramona would be doing what she did to Kristen Takeman, where she goes, "Why'd you get my hair wet? You got my hair wet. Did I ask you to get my hair wet? No." And she's like in the middle of a fight. Like that's like Tamara would be like flinging and throwing wine, but Ramona would never be like, she wouldn't be scared. She would just be so concerned about her hair. She'd be like, "I got my hair done. I got my hair done, and this is supple skin. I just throw wine in it." And then her insult to Tamara would be like, "Well, you could use some of my skincare because I'm aging like Benjamin Button," as she says.
That's right. Benjamin Button. And she would be right in Tamara's face, like, "Who are you to get me wet? Who are you to get, me wet?
Wet. Did I ask you to get me wet? No."
And Tamara would be like, "I'm Tamara fucking Judge, bitch." Yeah. Okay. You know what? We got to get an illustrator and just come up with a Housewives cartoon where we can just have these crossovers. Because, we're never going to get these ladies in the same room. The Bravo's never really going to do one of these mashups.
No.
But someone could come out with an amazing cartoon series for like Nickelodeon or, not Nickelodeon, one of the adult networks. I don't know. I have a kid, so I don't know what an adult cartoon network is, but that would be amazing.
I just want to know what your thoughts are about Bethany. If Bethany ever heard of Karen's charity event from Potomac, if she heard of Karen, and she goes, "Oh, hello, Bethany." First of all, she would probably say to Bethany like she did to Kendall, the Giselle's ex's ex-wife on Potomac. She'd be like, "Oh, I'd love for you to come to my charity event, Bethany, and I will pay for your ticket. It's free."
Yeah, and she would probably be like, Bethany and I are both entrepreneurs. And Bethany would have a lot to say about that.
The Hugo Frankel legacy goes way back.
Totally. Okay, so tell everyone where they can find you on social media, and then tell us again about your podcast before you go, because I want everyone to hear it as many times as possible. It's going to be amazing.
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at @DB and follow my Instagram at Brandon Alvarado. And then my podcast, Domestic Partners, is now, you can subscribe to it now on iTunes, as I said before, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you listen to podcasts, because the preview episode is up now, but the first episode will be out this Friday. You can follow our social media, Instagram at Domestic Partners, and Twitter at The Domestic Pod, and like us on Facebook.
I will link all of that up in the show notes. So everyone, you don't have to memorize that. You can just head down to the show notes where you're listening right now, and you can click on everything and go subscribe. It's going to be amazing. And I can't wait to come on your show one day.
Thank you. I'm excited to have you on so we can talk about housewives, reality stuff, even cults. Can we talk about cults as well, actually, on my podcast?
My answer is yes. Yes, we can talk about cults. And it's actually less scary to talk about cults than sometimes reality TV. So no fear. Oh,
good. Maybe we'll discuss the new Elizabeth Vargas show on A&E, cults and other extreme whatevers. And
extreme beliefs. I'm going to be talking about that on my podcast. I will come on yours to talk about it. I'm all about that. I'm getting them all down right now, and it is blowing my mind.
Amazing.
Blowing my mind. Okay. All right, Brandon, thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Love you. Thank you.
Love you.